And we're back. Now we're going to look at some additional words that will tie into the words that we already did in the episode about the Chinese dynasties. We are going to explore some more words in Chinese that refer to historical set pieces and historical persons and items that are generally historically important. These three characters here read Qin Shi Huang, and you might remember this word, or rather this character I already discussed. It's the Qin from Qin Chao, and it's the Qin dynasty. So what this whole three character word means is Qin Shi Huang, and this is the name of the legendary huángdì, or Qin Shi Huang, how some people call him. This is actually the correct scientific way of pronouncing his name, Qin Shi Huang. He is a very important emperor, one of the most important figures in ancient Chinese history, according to the mainstream books. I personally am not 100% sure about this, but if you study Chinese history, or as a Chinese person would say, 要是你学习中国的历史, then you have to know, of course, this character. This character is also very common, very useful to know, like for example in 开始 or in 开放, in to begin or to open up. And this character we will use some more in the next word. This word means huángdì, and huángdì actually means emperor. So you can see, you can say 秦始皇是一个皇帝. So this means 秦始皇 is an emperor, which is true. So here, first we have this emperor, a very prominent social function, but here's another very prominent and extremely important, historically very important social function. It's of course very important in today's life as well, but connected to the person that we are going to meet next, it is especially prominent. This is zhéxuéjiā. Jìshù means philosophy. Jìshù. And jiā you might know from jiātiāng, the family, or just jiā, household, family, place where the family dwells. But in many cases, if you have a certain field of study or a certain field of operation, and then you add a jiā in behind, then this does not refer to a house or a family unit, but rather to a person being occupied by this. It is an alternative to using zhè. Sometimes you use zhè, and sometimes you use jiā. In this case, zhéxuéjiā means philosopher. So you have jìshù, philosophy, and zhéxuéjiā, the philosopher. And if you know any amount of Chinese characters, then it's also very likely that you have come across these two characters, kǒng. This means kǒng, but you pronounce it a little bit different. If you have this zi in following it, then you pronounce it kǒngzǐ, kǒngzǐ. And kǒngzǐ, you might guess, is the Chinese name for Confucius. Of course, most Westerners or most Americans or Europeans, they hear about Confucius, and they might not know that Confucius, of course, is not a Chinese way of pronouncing things. Confucius is a Latin way. So historically, Latin monks from Europe came to China, basically, and they spoke Latin, and they read about Confucius, and they called him Confucius because Latin was a lingua franca, and this is what I used to describe things that were newly introduced into their sphere of knowledge. But to Chinese people, Confucius is kǒngzǐ. So in order to pay tribute to this, sometimes a different way of translating kǒngzǐ, instead of saying Confucius, is to say, you can say Master Kong, which is still not the way Chinese people would read his name, the name of this philosopher, the name of this zhéxuéjiā. but Master Kong might be a little bit closer to Kǒngzǐ than Confucius is actually. Now we have come to 4 very important Chinese artifacts or Chinese tools. I will begin with this here. This character you might already know. This is zhǐ, paper. This here you can see, here you have this jian, and here we have this shi, this stone. And this character actually reads yen, yen. And this means a stone, or an inkstone rather. An inkstone, and this is the ink. This reads more, more. And this is also very fundamental. You should already know this if you watch some other videos. This reads máobǐ, of course. So you have zhǐ, yen, zhǐ, yen, more, and máobǐ, and those are of course the wenfang si bao, and they are the 4 treasures of the Chinese study. So this is the traditional things that a Chinese scholar needs to have in order to work and in order to function as a scholar, as a learned person. That is, of course, which is a scholar. Then we have this character here. Now we go away a bit from learning and from scholarship, or rather we stay with the topic of learning and scholarship, but we get a little bit more technical. Here we have zhǐnánzhēn. Zhǐ is often used in words that have something to do with fingers. So this word here in many contexts, zhǐ means finger. This here means nan, which is of course the direction, south, and zhēn is the needle. So you have a finger needle that points south, and this is a compass. So some Chinese words you can find out what they mean, even if you don't know the whole word. If you know like 2 or 3, that is some or all of the components individually, then you can use it to construct the meaning of the whole word. Here we have huózìyìnshuā, huózìyìnshuā. The last part isn't too important, at least right now. If you just know huózìyìnshuā, this word I've already introduced. Huózìyìnshuā means printing with movable letters. So the way a more modern way of printing, instead of cutting out a whole woodcut, you print with moving letters. Here you have zàozhǐ, and zàozhǐ is a way of producing paper, of making paper, and this is huóyào, which is gunpowder. And the traditional mainstream way of referring to these 4 items, this zhǐnánzhēn, this compass, these huózìyìnshuā, the way of printing with moving letters, to zàozhǐ, making paper, and huóyào. These 4 inventions are called, here's the word, fāmíng, which of course means invention, sìdàfāmíng. And if you have some knowledge of characters already, then you will be able to translate this. This means the 4 great inventions. The 4 great inventions in Chinese history are the compass, the moving letters, the gunpowder, and of course making paper. Making paper, probably one of the most famous inventions of China in Chinese history. Here we have a word that closes in, that summarizes all of these 4 words in one word, and this is jìshù, technology. And the final word for today to close it out is jìnbù. Jìnbù means progress, and progress is a word that is, if you start to read more difficult Chinese texts, like Chinese newspapers, for example, then you might come across this word a lot. It's a very modern word. It's used in Kǒngzǐ more often than words like this here, for example. and it means progress. And this is what I wish you for your studies and for your life in general. I wish you a lot of progress. And with these words of parting, I say 再见. See you guys next time.